The Corps was constituted 1 October 1933 in the Organized Reserves. The history of 14th Army Corps in World War II dates from December 1942. Then Maj.Gen. Alexander M. Patch, the 14th Army Corps directed the American and 25th Army Infantry Divisions, the 2nd Marine Division, and the 147th Separate Infantry Regiment in the final drive which expelled the Japanese from Guadalcanal early in February 1943. The 70th Coast Artillery Regiment landed on 23 May 1943. From airfields here guarded by the 14th Army Corps, Allied aircraft began the neutralization of the enemy's vital Munda airfields on New Georgia. Then Maj.Gen. O.W. Griswold succeeded General Patch as 14th Corps Commander 26 April 1943. In a lightning campaign which began 30 June 1943 with the invasion of Rendezvous Islands, General Griswold's forces, which included the 43rd and the 37th Infantry Divisions with elements of the 25th Division, seized New Georgia and the important Munda airfield on 6 August. Mopping up of the adjacent islands was completed and the New Georgia campaign ended 6 October 1943. American and New Zealand aircraft operating from the Munda field began the neutralization of Kahili, another enemy airfield in Bougainville. The 14th Corps defeated the once fine Japanese 17th Army on Bougainville in March 1944. Part of this army was the 6th Infantry Division, considered Japan's best division in the early Chinese campaigns. It played a major part in the rape of the Chinese city of Nanking in 1937. In the Bougainville campaign, the 37th and American Divisions, and 2 battalions of the Fiji military forces were principal combat units of the 14th Corps. Elements of the 93rd Infantry Division arrived after the peak of the battle and assisted in harassing retreating Japanese troops. There were 65,000 Japanese on Bougainville when the Americans landed, of whom some 8,200 died in combat and 16,600 from illness. The 3 airfields in the Bougainville perimeter were used as bases for Allied aircraft, which reduced the once mighty Japanese air and naval base, Ivrabal, New Britain, to an impotent outpost of the enemy's island empire. The first raid of troops, a large Japanese air and naval base in the Central Pacific, was staged through Bougainville by liberators of the 13th Air Force. From the Solomons campaigns, the 14th Army Corps gained the nickname Kings of the Solomons. Liberators of Manila, the 14th Army Corps with its initial divisions, the 37th and the 40th Infantry Division, landed on the shores of Lingayen Gulf, Luzon, Philippines, S-Day, which was the 9th of January 1945. The landing was made without ground opposition as the Japanese garrison, completely surprised, fled 3 days before S-Day at the start of an intensive naval and aerial bombardment. Meeting sporadic resistance, the Corps drove rapidly south towards Manila, capturing successively Binmaley, San Carlos, Malasiqui and Tarlac. At Bamban, the enemy was strongly entrenched in the 40th S sector in the foothills of the Zambales Mountains. Attacking abreast the 37th and 40th sufficiently reduced the resistance to allow the 37th to continue on to Manila. The 40th was left to contain and exterminate the stubbornly resisting Japanese. The 1st Cavalry Division from Gimba began a drive to Manila, overrunning the towns of Cabanachin, Santa Rosa and Garapan, and by the 1st of February 1945, the 37th and the 1st Cavalry were poised north of Manila, ready for the battle for the Philippines' capital city. Elements of the 11th Airborne Division made an airborne and amphibious invasion of Nasugbu on the west coast of Batangas Province. 32 miles southwest of the former American naval base of Cavite, the 2nd of February. This move was to seal off the Japanese forces south of Manila. The 11th, passing to 14th Corps control, began a push toward a junction with columns of the 37th and 1st Cavalry and support them by Filipino ground troops under the Philippine Commonwealth Army and recognized guerrilla groups. The 3rd of February, the 1st Cavalry entered Manila, liberating 3,700 American internees at Santo Tomas, and the next day soldiers of the 37th marched into Bilibid prison, freeing 800 American civilians and soldiers captured on Bataan and Corregidor in 1941. Resistance was quickly reduced north of the Pasig River, but the Japanese fought ferociously in southern Manila. American forces of the 37th, 1st Cavalry and 11th Airborne and Filipino forces of the Philippine Commonwealth Army units and local guerrilla fighters joined up in Manila 13 February. Meanwhile, the 6th Infantry Division joined 14th Corps the 17th of February and attacked well-fortified enemy forces in the Shimbu line east of Manila. In an amphibious air paratroop ground assault, elements of the 11th Airborne Division, aided by elements of 14th Corps Special Troops, freed 2,100 American internees from Los Baños prison camp the 23rd of February. Main enemy resistance collapsed with the taking of the ancient walled city of Intramuros on the 24th of February by the U.S. 37th Division and aiding Philippine Commonwealth Army units and recognized guerrillas. Mopping up was completed in 3 public buildings which had been fortified by the Japanese and in Manila Bay, where Japanese has set up defenses in the hulks of sunken ships. The clean-up of southern Luzon with the 1st Cavalry and the 11th Airborne comprising major corps units was begun the 15th of March, and by the 20th of May the area was declared free of Japanese organized resistance. Then the Corps with the 6th, 32nd, 37th and 38th Division began the clean-up of northern Luzon the 1st of July. Campaign credits and post-war service. 14th Corps is credited with service in the Guadalcanal, Northern Solomons, Bismarck Archipelago, and Luzon campaigns. Subsequent to World War II, 14th Corps was active in Minneapolis, Minnesota, from 1957 to 1968.